Hey, what's happening out there, YouTube family? This is Robert L. Jones Jr. coming at you again with some more Tribal Judah poetry. All right. The first poem of the evening is entitled God is Dead. That show enough certain to death and eagerly anticipated phenomenon of an Alkebulan revolution has disappointingly been so greatly disrupted and so heavily interrupted, like somebody's all-time favorite TV sitcom that is suddenly bombarded and eliminated by some freaking late-breaking news story or the superficial invasion of a totally daft and lame commercial advertisement. Because of a severely chronic anathema bag of some inner progress despising rogues and them crazily undignified wrongdoers that be sinfully dabbling with those wretchedly distasteful and willfully offensive abominations of some selfhood hating maledictions and them shamefully repugnant animations of selfness, loathing, jive, and denigrating foolishness. And a millennially arisen, yet pastime slave behaving progeny of futuristic Africans so called, should better be becoming so quickly witted and accustomed, like prudently chasing sons and wisely corrected daughters for real, unto that woefully repented penance groove of mournfully getting within that exceedingly broken and ever grieving activity of distressfully throwing onto their lost and wandering anatomies those gravely negritude cloaks and hoodies of humbly mortifying reproach and bone-crushing embarrassment, so that they ought to be immediately camouflaging the nastily belittling nakedness of their wickedly exposed odium and stone debasing ignorance, which through that suicidal demeaning illuminati of some fatally indulgent contempt from within would unknowingly blinded guides and visually smitten enablers of lambasting coonery be a plummeted sharply into the gruesomely abysmal pits and ditches of stupidly going from those gallantly funky and ultra magnificent riches of being straight up kings and queenly empresses to ultimately twitching and switching up like bipolar and freaks and schizophrenic misfits to the dangerously bewitching roles and niches of being nothing but gutter-loving Negroes and loose booty and tramps with a devilishly dishonoring cause and startling commitment in repulsively remaining so conventionally willy-nilly like Jack and Jilly to that dreadfully sad and show enough silly error and fallacy of a naively learned and deathly educating curriculum of copper branding flippancy and stone clowny despondency that was brought about so catastrophically by the mightily detrimental origins and the overwhelmingly evil provenance of a Norseman-inspired thesis and philosophy, spelled out so erroneously with that vilely lunatic vocabulary of some madly behemoth myths and truly laughable bull stuff, and the blindingly blurred and vastly distorted belief system of pro-Caucasoid superiority was inherently hexed and natively cursed from poison roots to leafy tip with the absolutely putrid and consciously noisome audacity of viper's lips and heavily state verbalizations, talking all of that utterly negative and strictly conniving jazz about blue-eyed whiteness having that exceptionally perfected vanguard of being innately good, supreme, wholesome, clean, righteous, flawless, beautiful, cultured, and universally better than anything else under the sun. Whereas the proudly profound and powerfully strong pithed essence of amazingly umbered up blackness is the completely base and simply humorless embodiment of everything that is genetically bad, benighted, unholy, savage, ugly, less than, shiftless, dirty, inferior, and the very worst that pitiless nature could ever produce to this worldly ethos of massively cosmic glory and shininess, and with the incessantly trembling handiwork of a nervously trite engraver, with these sordidly avaricious and morally filthy statements of Mr. Man-slandering hatred, be heinously chiseled down in the stencil-like and creepiness of viciously scripted calligraphy, upon the crudely decayed and crackled clay tablets of ever racially abrasive animosity and demonic scorn, and a thoughtfully discombobulated scene of highest esteem denying bondsmen and channeled out menials would be having that extremely insane and stone unmitigated nerve in unnecessarily lugging around these painfully bulky dead weights of feignedly hefty lies and fibbing rubbish, as if they are somehow or some way meant to be a sorrowfully meek and lowly bunch of dull-minded and majorly retarded burros who were suddenly given their lifetime endangered sentence of clumsily carrying Simon Legree's many misrepresenting quotes and decrees of abusively condemning junk and crappy blah blah blahs upon our bodily striped up backs and spiny dispositions of achingly fatigued oppression and browbeaten injury to our collective identity, but subconsciously binding chains and menacing padlocks of ever torturous iron and clay has got to be forevermore broken and widely thrashed about like an intensely explosive outburst of amador and metallic confetti from the pensively marred ciphers and wrongfully meditative skull casings of temporarily fallen gods and goddesses who were maliciously indoctrinated like immaturely impressionable school children with that stone phony and hypocritical performance of dishonestly becoming mentally mephitic troopers and thespians, acting out those shown up ludicrous and horrendous consummations of being so arrogantly vain and conceited with their many decrepit aspirations in disastrously emulating all of them grossly repeated aberrations and imbecilic variations of improperly stereotyping degradation. And that duly notable calibration of a psyche revolutionizing resurrection could most potently energize and regenerate that dynamically renaissance style of spontaneous invigoration, whereby a culturally anesthetized nation of heathenistic bucks and wildly hood-racking hussies will be getting so divinely rejuvenated within the black star striking cosmos of their melanin emboldened mind states, and that never-endingly effervescent spirit and revitalizing soul of Daddy Lazarus will soundly elucidate that shown enough elocutionary mandate of calling forth a drowsily wayward tribe of motherland myriad kin and siblings from the idiotically borrowed crypts of dehumanizing demise and quickly decomposing nescience. And a majestically messianic miracle is magnanimously manifested as a righteously rebirthed retinue of neo-thriving Nubians and consciously civilized comrades of Kush be blessedly roused from the numbly decadent sleepiness of a heavy blowing hibernation into ratchet damning perdition. And from the eternally rotten senectitude of their offensively putrid and odorous tombs, do the vibrantly upraised offspring of Imhotep and others be vivaciously exhumed from the exterminating penumbra of a nauseatingly disgraceful reputation and a desperately faulty character indeed. Thusly, with richly immutable victory, with this newly Afro-kinetic and blackness-centric posse of Occidental Abyssinians, be nobly grasping upon their honorable and virtuous ransom of smartly throwing down Sir Snowflake's concrete slabs of brother man and soul sister renouncing destruction onto the monumentally indurated humus of some Ethiopian earthiness. And with that sprightly widened out expressiveness of some openly third-eyeing vigilance, would the cleanly revelatory seedlings of Ahmed and the rest be just watching them suddenly shattered and fragmentized into the show enough fragile cuts and slivers of lastingly decimated ruin and expiration? And like the imperially statuesque wonderments of Mama Kemet's works of monarchical grandness and towering royalty, would us freshly cerebral entities with mahogany brown adorned mentalities be once again within the regally keen and spectacular pedigree of being those marvelously lionistic recipients of that shown of certain to death and eagerly anticipated phenomenon called an Alkebulan revolution? The second poem of the evening is entitled Dualism African or American. Sir Godfather Du Bois and all of his truthfully collegial colloquialisms of phenomenally penetrating correctness and verity, Donne famously performed forth his funky exegetical talents of flawlessly informative revelation by accurately defining and redefining an endlessly abounding and enduringly steadfast diaspora of ebony, majestic prevailers, with that precisely diagnosticating happenstance of an Afro-originated and a black misnurtured nation, being so subconsciously deluged and insightfully inundated by the mindfully splicing complexity of a viscerally breached up mentality that is incessantly coasting and a tripping like a loony took schizophrenic upon that psychodramatic roller coaster excursion of a deeply befuddled and utterly confusing dichotomy of self, whereby a restlessly bewildered and intuitively addled out air of proudly hereditary Africanness be so suddenly captured and ensnared so unknowingly within the crazily perplexing nucleus of curiously wondering if she or he is either the purely natural and strictly indigenous progenitor of ancient Archebulan patrimony and legacy, or is instead some strangely dichromatic and naively Americanistic advocate of occidentally fixed and rigid traditionalisms that are so commonly indicative of the nouveau colonizer shenanigan of patriotically enslaving bondage and servility. Oddly enough, and sure enough peculiar to death, are that exceedingly aberrant and straight up atypical assemblage of some internally confounded minorities, with their intimately vexatious dilemma in painstakingly deciding if they will be faithfully espoused unto the innately rooted and inherently strengthened schemas of a stone luxurious motives of Cushite enlivened existence, or if they would much rather be blindly loaded upon their severely burdened shoulders the unbearably blistering and bizarrely erratic mess of superficially overdosing like a strung out heroin addict on the drastically embracing appetence for crystal blue irises, a flowingly unshorn bounty of gold and yellow blondness, that insecurely embedded dependence upon the money-grubbing plastic surgeon to perversely transmogrify the ever-stellar comeliness of African beauty and handsomeness into the wickedly vainglorious and downright spurious aesthetic of a pseudo-Adonis cat or some bogus Aphrodite chick, and the virally coveted diablerie of some rapaciously corrupted Eurocentricity would insanely force a neo-Kemetic variety of sun gods and lunar goddesses into that brain-twirling and psyche-unsettling spiral ride of horribly rent and horribly split personality that is now insatiably tossed both to and fro to the frigidly deranging wind gust of culturally topsy-turvy inquietude, where cunningly distilled imprecations and those mightily wily suggestions of Charlie be so deceitfully tricky in craftily imparting their allegedly contributing gambits of a Western civilizing modality that is based primarily upon the diagrammatical bedrock of a so-called dominant majority's whitewashing values and lily lightning rituals of the good old US of A. And with such deviously predicating feats of mahogany soul blanching debauchery, will some of us motherland denying Negroes and Caucasian aspiring converts of Lady Liberty be so totally damned and flim-flammed to death in a hotly abysmal fire pit of witlessly attributing unto their very lost and oblivious embodiments those madly veneering rubrics and pale-faced staining precedents of the man, thereby getting so unrighteously bombarded with that cipher snafu and peer pressure to agreeably descend on down into the brimstone cooking pandemonium of devilishly coexisting within this weirdly queer and stone foreign country as a collective abomination that is disproportionately composed of sold out traitors and wretchedly diseased up apostates who would ignorantly prefer to hypocritically parody themselves after the sinfully sickening formalities and the falsely behavioral protocols of jolly old England's ancestral cronies and blue-blooded seedlings. And further down that massively entrapping rabbit hole of ever bottomless ruin and oblivion, do a gravely disillusioned and show no turned out community of new house niggers and slave master loving infidels be so desperately busy in their extremely unessential and straight up unnecessary servitude of wasn't so freaking much to deliriously peruse and to foolhardily acquire them neo-Victorian canons and pro-Caucasus principles that would ultimately mutate a Shabazz plan of proudly enlightened and powerfully excellent victors into chocolate, caramel, and nougat covered versions of Nordic imitating impersonators and Anglo mimicking troubadours, as they be ardently gallivanting like sheepish cult followers inside of their unusually fictitious exploits in futilely becoming the vaguely expressed image and likeness of Americanizing Aryanness, which to no really big deal and surprise is the absolutely converse and wildly contrasted antithesis of the djembe beaten rhythm and kalimba chime-in arpeggio of an impressively exalted and shown of lordly heart and soul that does surely got their maternally copacetic and superbly lineal thing together from the richly subterranean and subterranean roots and foundational inceptions of Big Mama Congo to the incredibly altitudinous grandeur of old Papa Kilimanjaro. And for sure, though, there is most sadly the painfully miserable and heavily pitiful epidemic of an utterly discombobulated kindred of encouragingly benighted serfs and numbly abstracted vassals who have been distressingly caught unawares within a forcibly isolating predicament of ultimately unlearning the expressively original fixtures and fundamentals that were once so grandly befitting for monumentally super bad and stately kingship. And from the angrily darkened impasse of 1619 to the disdainfully contemporary episodes of pro-millennial days and nights, we mentally muddled and awfully dualistic victims of red, white, and blue in conformity, sure enough don't be easily recognizing the accurately factual essence of our frankly valid voraciousness in already being spiritually and bodily connected to a far more actual and verily indisputable homeland that is on the far out and seemingly unreachable side of this tremendously vast and aerially astronomical globe. And even though Sir Godfather Du Bois done officially diagnosed us future tribes and post-dynastical families with that third eye bewildering disorder of a terribly conflicting dualism, maybe within the crucially pivotal core of our presently enlivened lifetime, an Afro-originated and a blackness-nurtured nation will once again affluently remember with wealthily satiating retrospection who we were, who we truly are, and who we have the right and self-empowering potential to become. Thank you so much for listening to these pieces. I hope you like what you heard. Please like, subscribe, share, and comment. Also, please donate to our channel, Tribe of Judah Poetry. We appreciate your help and your donations. That's what keeps our channel going. Thank you so much. Please keep on donating. Thank you so much. I'll come at you again with some more Tribe of Judah poetry. In the meantime, I bid you shalom.